Hello, Skelevaderites, and welcome to episode 8 of Skelevaders Weekly Weirdo. I'm really excited to show you what I've picked out for this week. There's been a lot of hype lately about this particular character, about this particular action figure, because there could be a new version of this one coming out pretty soon. We got somebody watching already. Thanks so much for being here. Good to see you. And feel free to chime into the chat and I'll respond to any questions or thoughts you might have over there. But wow, yeah, this is great. We're going to be returning today to Masters of the Universe. And this time it's going to be a particular character that I have a long history with. Hey, Bobby, Vintage Motu, good to see you. So, all right, here we go. We're going to jump right in. This particular character, as I've mentioned before in the podcast, I co-host with my friend Mark from the Wake Up Heavy podcast, and I've mentioned it on Toy Frenzy too, I'm sure a few times. I'm confident I have. The very first Masters of the Universe action figure I picked up as a kid was Trapjaw. I walked into the store, I was drawn to that character right away. And that was the first one I got. Now, what I don't talk about often, hey, Nolan. So, hey, I'm going to be sure to show everybody here. Vintage Motu, Bobby's here. Hey, Bobby. And then we also have Nolan. He's saying, hi, Skele. Hi, Bobby. Good to see you here, Nolan. Nolan is part of our chat group on Instagram, and he's a and so I just saw something earlier. Happy anniversary, Nolan. We got Duchess of Darkness. Great to see you here. So to continue the story, the figure that I really wanted to have, and I mentioned this before too, wanted to find as a kid, wanted to have, and he's since become one of my like my top favorite is Beastman. I've already talked about Beastman. I haven't talked about Trapjaw yet, but we'll be doing that, and we're not doing that today. We're going to be talking about a character that I actually did have as a kid. One of the early, like I got this guy maybe a year into my interest, and he quickly became one of my top favorites. I have like the 5 baddies. This is one of them, of my top favorites. This guy is CLAWFUL, and really excited to talk about CLAWFUL today. As a kid, I was totally obsessed with this character. It could be that he had, similar to Trapjaw, he had a really cool action feature, which was this claw that would open and close. I love that his claw on his right arm was oversized, and then he had a smaller claw over here. The pincher claw, same arm that they use for Buzz Off. And so this guy really, like, I have really a deep fascination with him. And I've since loved every iteration of this guy. Oh man, the chat is popping here. We've got Broman, good to see you. Welcome back. It's been a while, but Broman's been sending me images of his customs. Man, great stuff. And Julia, good to see you. And Bud, great to see you. My Buddy's Customs. So yeah, this is great. So today we're talking about CLAWFUL. This is the vintage figure. This is not my figure that I had as a kid. Because I did not maintain any of my toys from my youth, but this one I did reorder a while back, and I'm really happy to finally have him. That I got him through eBay, but this is the one that started it all. This is the obsession starter. Hey, Ronald Embry, good to see you. And I've since tried to get every version. I think I have every version, except one thing that was a big disappointment for me because I'm a fan of the Reaction Masters of the Universe figures. They never made a clawful in the Reaction 3.75-inch sort of Kenner style. That would have been really cool. But when classics were happening after the fact, because I came late. This one, and I'll talk about Mossman later. I got Mossman from Classics. They were both pretty affordable at the time. I believe I got them through Mattel, actually. This is right at the end of Classics, and I was able to get this clawful. This clawful is a fantastic figure. As you can see, he's very similar to the the first version of Clawful, but of course, because it's Classics, the details are spectacular. I love this claw. Does not have a lever, but it still has sort of a spring action, which is cool. But this looks very much like a real crab or lobster claw. Now, there's people have talked about him being a lobster. People have talked about him being a crab. I feel like this guy. Hey Oz, good to see you. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Bud saying, I love Clawful. I can't wait for the Masterverse New Eternia version of him to come out. Yeah, so we're going to talk about him in just a little bit. Really excited about that. So this guy, now what was I saying with him? Yeah, he's very, very reminiscent of the vintage figure, but his details are great. I believe that he reminds me more of like a fiddler crab, because fiddler crabs have the larger claw on one side and the smaller claw on the other side. And this figure is great. However, there is a couple of other versions here we're going to be looking at. This one, my wife got me this one for, I believe it was for Christmas. I had sort of missed the boat on the NECA Staction figures, and this is based on the 2000X Mike Young Productions version of Clawful. Absolutely love this version of Clawful. See, as you can see, this is very much like a crab shell, but then he has on his loincloth a kind of what looks like lobster tail. On the loincloth, which I think is amazing addition, adding to the confusion, is he related to lobsters or crabs? But neither, I guess, because he's from Eternia. But I love this guy. He's often featured a feature on my toy shelf in my toy collection. He's been in the closet for a little while, so it's really nice to bring him out. But yeah, they never made him as a figure in the 2000X Mike Young Productions line, but Four Horsemen put out this with NECA, and it's just amazing. We've got Skyfall here. Good to see you here. Welcome back. Good to see you. Let's see what we got here. Bobby, yes, that Staction is awesome. It's heavy too. Yeah, it's a heavy dude. I think there's a couple different versions. This one is the smaller version. I believe there's a larger version where his mouth is open and he's more of an action pose. Oz saying, hey, yeah, that's his favorite version of Clawful. I think it's amazing. My only nitpick with the Mike Young Productions version of Clawful is that in the cartoon, the animation is great on Clawful, but he has kind of his personality is pretty dumb. They really emphasize the stupidity of the villains in that show. And Clawful's one that I feel like he's kind of badass. Like I feel like he should have a little bit more smarts to him. But yeah, let's see here. Bud saying in box it looks like Classics Clawful is around 90 to 110, opened around 50 to 70-ish. Yeah. So the Classics is great. The 2000X is great. Yes, it's true. And then I was also able to get, when Super 7 did the Filmation versions of the figures, I tried to get the core baddies. I missed out on a couple of them, but this CLAWFUL is the Filmation version. So as a kid, very similar to many Masters of the Universe fans, certain characters like CLAWFUL came out in their toy version and did not look anything like the Filmation version. And my biggest complaint as a kid was that I wanted to see this in the cartoon. I wasn't necessarily a huge fan of the Filmation cartoon version of him. In fact, both of his claws are the same size. I feel like that's a real missed opportunity for as far as like creating an interesting aspect to the character, or at least make him a little bit more intimidating or something. John, figuratively speaking, good to see you. Bobby, I know you love the Filmation version. I mean, I love him too. I have him. I haven't gotten rid of him, but that's mainly because I love CLAWFUL. But my true love is the original version. Now, because I love the original version of the action figures, I was super excited when they did come out with the Origins version of CLAWFUL. I was actually, there were two figures from Origins that I was most excited about: Stinkor, which I'll be talking about in a future episode of Weekly Weirdo, and CLAWFUL. And as you can see, they did make a few changes. They gave him an open mouth as opposed to a closed mouth. So you can see a little bit more. He even has a bit more of a sneer. I'm glad they didn't downplay the weird big eyebrows, because he's got big bushy eyebrows, which is super strange. They didn't downplay that at all. His colors are a little bit brighter. And then his claw mechanism, you actually move it back and it opens up, which is actually a little bit more conducive for play. And the original version, it was always you move it forward, which is a little bit more difficult to maneuver when you were playing with your friends or whatever, right? So I love the Origins version, and I was when they announced that they were going to be coming out with a Masterverse version, I was excited because I feel like even if they decided to do the Revelation version of CLAWFUL, I thought that was a pretty good design in the Revelation cartoon. And so I'd be happy to see a Revelation style Masterverse CLAWFUL. But what I got real excited about, and what my buddies Customs mentioned earlier on was in today's episode, is that the Masterverse version is going to be New Eternia. I believe that's the case. That's the rumor. So I'm really excited to see that, because some of the preliminary artwork for CLAWFUL is really cool. But I feel like they'll certainly give credit to 2000X a little bit of Revelation, but definitely some of those the aesthetic of the original CLAWFUL that we got. So I'm really excited about that one. Captain Biscuit 71, good to see you. They did that a lot in animation, always dummified the henchmen. Yes, I know. Turtles, Bebop. Yeah, I mean, I'd like them with more edge as well. Bebop and Rocksteady in particular from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I think would have been like, they're pretty intimidating creatures. They, to dumb them down doesn't quite make sense. But maybe just to make them less scary for a younger audience. I don't know. Primate 7 even 6. Hey, good to see you. Welcome. I just saw that you connected with me on Instagram, I believe, or that you had recently subscribed to the YouTube channel. Great to see you here. Welcome. Welcome to it. And yeah, so today's Weekly Weirdo was CLAWFUL. I wish they would have released a reaction style Super 7 version of this guy, because I think he would have been really wonky, really strange looking. I love the Filmation version, but I absolutely love the original vintage one. This is one of my treasured classics. I have very few classics, and this is one of them. Love this guy. And then the spectacular NECA Four Horsemen staction of the 2000X Mike Young Productions CLAWFUL. And when that Masterverse CLAWFUL comes out, he's going to be really hard to resist, but I'm really excited to see what he looks like. I'm very excited to see what their design choices are going to be. And I want to say thank you all so much for being here. So I think a lot of you are chimed in and said that you were fans of or are fans of CLAWFUL, so that's awesome. That's really great to see. Broman, I want to say I have not yet seen you create a custom in your style of CLAWFUL. Not that I can recall. You're pretty good about keeping me updated on what you're working on. That would be really cool, really, really cool to see. Today, I just recorded a new episode of Cambridge and with Sean with my friend Mark. So that's forthcoming at the beginning of next month of April. So if you haven't gone on to wherever you find your podcasts and listen to the last episode, you get to hear me talk a lot about my Masters of the Universe obsession. Mark talks about his ongoing and lifelong obsession with Saturday Night Live, and I do the same with Masters of the Universe in that episode. So it's a lot of fun. Definitely, we're looking for more listeners over there on the Cambridge and with Sean podcast. It's a little bit more personalized and a little bit more localized, so it pertains a lot to the Central Valley of California and the Fresno area, but also our own personal interests. Thank you all so much for being here and checking out and exploring this week's Weekly Weirdo with me. I want to give a very big special thank you to my Patreons, MotuOriginsCork, My Buddies Customs, Carol Geis, and Brick Something. Thank you all so much for contributing to the Skelevator cause. The funds that you contribute might contribute to future acquisitions, but most definitely they contribute to the Toy Frenzy efforts. So I really appreciate that. We are going to be making some stickers here pretty soon, which we're really excited about. So yeah, let's keep an eye on the social media and see what's going on with that new CLAWFUL that's coming out. I'm going to be talking about Whiplash 2 in the future as well. Maybe by the time I get around to Whiplash, there will be a new Whiplash as well. But thank you all for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. If you watch my channel, you know that yesterday I posted a new video of a Snake Mountain build. So I've started a new Snake Mountain. It's a commission. This great guy, Manny, he reached out to me and he commissioned me to make another big Snake Mountain. So it's 4 feet wide by 4 feet tall. And so you can watch the progress of that. That first video launched yesterday. So go have a look on the channel. I really want to say thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Duchess. Thanks. This was great. Yeah. And Oz, thanks so much. And thank you all so much for being here, and really appreciate every one of you. And be sure to stick around for next week's Weekly Weirdo. Who knows what it'll be? But until then, have a great rest of your